Hello everybody, got a request to review a build from one of my viewers, so figured I'd go ahead and take a look at it. They wanted to know what I thought about it, so let's go ahead. I got two of them here. Sent me an Earth Spike build, which is pretty interesting as I haven't really ever messed around with Earth Spike, so that's actually pretty interesting. So first off, going with this one, let's see here. So pretty standard. Yeah, this is pretty good. If you actually have a triple companion's total armor, I am so jealous because I still have yet to find one. Yeah. I'm not sure. You know, that's probably fine. Like, this is probably fine because it's like you either go like damage reduction or the damage reduction from distant. So depending on like the dungeon you're running, I feel like the distant could be more useful, but at the same time, having 10% more damage reduction from everything is also pretty nice. So I think this is probably pretty fine stat-wise. Obviously, disobedience is pretty good. See, gloves, crit, lucky hit, willpower, damage to injured enemies. I don't know. I'm not sure I like the damage to injured enemies, mainly because you only get it whenever things get low. That being said, the issue with like gloves you run into when it comes to companion druid is that you don't really have any insanely good options. I mean, personally, I think attack speed is better. Like, I think having attack speed on the gloves is going to be better, but the lucky hit, the crit's fine. The willpower is also fine. Like, I would say change the damage to injured enemies to attack speed personally. It's probably what I would do, but I mean, at the same time, I don't know if you're like stacking the damage to injured or something, because like I guess if you're stacking it, that could potentially be alright. Yeah, so that's not too bad. That's not too bad. Let's see here. And then on the aspect, I mean, when it comes to the aspect, the cool thing about companion druid is honestly you have like the core aspects that you need to run are like alpha and stampede. Like, you definitely need to have both of those, but like once you, especially since this is like multiplicative now or whatever, so that's pretty cool. But when it comes to the other two, like, it's really preference in my opinion. I'm not like, because I personally go the basic skills gain 30% attack speed, but I think taking overcharge is perfectly reasonable because you know, if you're also running it in tandem with Storm's Companion, if I'm not mistaken, your wolves actually do proc the overcharged effect. So it does add a decent chunk of damage, or you can go Edge Masters. But the thing with Edge Masters and the downside to Edge Masters is that it only gives you more active damage. It does not give you more passive damage, which is kind of unfortunate, but at the same time, so it's just kind of about what you want. I wanted to say there's probably an argument that this might be better than Edge Masters, just because you can probably keep this damage up so consistently, whereas the other one is specifically on your active. But at the same time, well, actually, I guess I take that back, because I think if the Barber didn't get nerfed with companions, where their passive damage no longer goes into it, that this would probably be better, because if their passive damage is proccing it and stuff like that on top of their passive damage going into it, I think there could be an argument that this is better than Edge Masters, but I think they're probably about equal because of the way the Barber is right now. I think if the Barber got changed back to where you know, your companion passive damage actually gets put inside of the Barber, I think this might actually be better than going Edge Masters. Basic skills, gain 30% attack speed, pretty good. And then Storm's Companion, obviously pretty good. The higher up you go, you will have to get rid of these eventually. Now, depending on how good, now, and this is one thing I don't know because I just don't have the gear for it, is I don't know how the percent total armor impacts your need for damage reduction from Storm's Companion, because if you stack the percent total armor, the thing is, and then you also have disobedience, you don't just get 7% out of this, right? Like, if you have 7% plus 7% plus, like, what's that? So 20 some odd percent, you're also getting like an additional 30% armor from this, right? So you're actually getting more value out of stacking your armor. So I actually don't know because I just haven't got the gear to test it yet to know like if it makes it to where you can run Storm's Companion even in like a really high tier like 100. I'm hoping that it does. That's kind of the dream, honestly, for me right now, is like once I do find it, like my theory is that potentially stacking armor might actually make it to where you don't have to run the quad damage reductions. I don't know if that's just a pipe dream, but if that is the case and that is true, then I mean, it just makes it to where you can run Storm's Companion all the time. I don't know if I agree with the damage reduction while fortified gems, because I don't know, because I actually did switch over as I was curious, and I actually kind of tested out the way you had your fortify set up, and personally I didn't really think that, I don't know, it just doesn't seem to me that it doesn't seem to me that like fortify is really easy to keep up. So yeah, when it comes to that kind of stuff, let's see, moving right along. So boots, aspect's good. Yeah, I think the boots are fine here. I think this is all totally fine. I think the boots are totally fine. One thing you can do, and this is what I do, is I have another set of boots set up, and you might already do this, that just have all the movement speed stuff on it. So like the percent movement speed, wall, or movement speed, wall, after killing an elite and all that stuff. And then I also put Craven aspect on it, and that speeds you up a little bit if you're trying to do speed farming. Because if you just poison things and kind of walk off, since you're moving away from a slowed target, you get the Craven movement speed buff, so that's pretty nice because of the neurotoxin and stuff like that. Crone Staff, obviously pretty good. Critical strike damage to vulnerable enemies. I mean, yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that's fine. I think you can go either those, or you can go the one that increases your basic skill damage. I think either's fine. The critical strike damage to vulnerable enemies could potentially be better though, since you're not really necessarily all in on your basic skill damage. You're mainly using Crone Staff just to proc the resets for all of these things. So moving right along to Choker of the Alpha. I'm not sure I agree with the percent total armor while in werewolf form, mainly because this changes you out of it, this changes you out of werewolf form, this changes you out of werewolf form, and this changes you out of werewolf form. I'm kind of thinking that I like the percent total armor on this, but I'm kind of thinking damage reduction from enemies that are poisoned might actually be better on the necklace. That being said, it's fine on the boots, and the reason why it's fine on the boots is because there literally is no other good option. Like, if you want my honest opinion, there's literally no other good option on there. So like my boots have the percent chance to dodge distant damage, then it has the percent total armor, werewolf, damage reduction while injured, and move speed. So like we have almost like the same boots on. So so I don't know if I agree with the percent total armor while in werewolf form, but at the same time, I mean, if you're testing it out and you're pushing higher tiers and you're finding it good, because you're also stacking armor in all these other places, there could be an argument that it is still potentially good. But me, if I was to guess, not completely trying it out with this exact setup, because I don't have the percent total armor gear yet, I would say that poison's or damage reduction while poisoned is probably better. Call the Wild passive, obviously great. Ranks of Companion skills, great. Total armor, great. Aspect of the Alpha, awesome. Then we got Ring of the Stampede, vulnerable, crit strike damage, lucky hit chance. Now, I don't know if maybe I'm insane for saying this, but I actually don't know if I care for the lucky hit chance on rings, because if you take off the lucky hit chance on rings, you maybe lose like 3 to 5% lucky hit chance on the actual ability. Like, I think I only have it, I have it on my gloves in one ring, and I think I have like a 58%. If I had it on both, I might have like a 60% on claw, right? So I'm not 100% like convinced that that's great, but at the same time, if it will technically net you more lucky hit chances by a small amount. So I actually wonder if going vulnerable, critical strike damage, critical strike chance, and then critical strike damage with werewolf skills or max life would be pretty good, I think. I'm not sure the lucky hit chance is 100% worth it, but at the same time, you know, it's definitely not bad by any means. I just don't know if that's like I like the more I run it, it's just not really what I run. But Let's see here. Moving on to the boons, wariness. Avian Wrath is fine. I actually prefer Iron Feather because I'm currently pushing, so I've been stacking. But like, especially if you're doing like lower stuff, like until you get into the 70s, 75, 80s or whatever, you know, like you don't really necessarily need the 14% life, so just going more damage is fine. Pack Leader, Masochistic, yep. Not bad, not bad. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Skill-wise, you have Wolves, you have Poison Creeper, you have Ravens. 16. Oh, okay. This doesn't have your okay, that's why. Yeah, so you actually have 19 ranks. You just don't have, I'm assuming you're running Barber, Moonrage, and Revenge. If you're not, I would say probably switch to those. Because I think for companions, I don't think there's any better setup than that. Unless you're like trying to go all in on poison, then maybe you could do like a Creeping Death thing. Let's see here. Claw. Yep. You took the 2, right? Okay, yeah. I really don't think the poison is ever worth it because of how good like attacking twice is with this build. Critical Strike Dance. Okay, that's not bad. Earthen Bulwark. Debilitating Roar. Then we have Vigilance. I don't know. Vigilance is probably okay. We got Ravens. Enhanced Ravens. Brutal Ravens. Wolves, Enhanced Wolves, Brutal Wolf Pack, that's probably fine. Call the Wild, which this is actually kind of interesting that you're running the Brutal Wolf Pack over Ferocious Wolf Pack, but at the same time, I don't know what level you're playing at yet. So like if you're doing 100s and stuff like that, I would imagine doing Ferocious might be better because, like I said, I find it a little bit more difficult to keep up the Fortify. So I've been running this. However, once I switch over to the percent armor and all that stuff, and I don't really have to care about getting the damage reduction while fortified, you know, because like you don't even have it on like your gear here, right? Like the main place you have it that you would need to get damage reduction while fortified is just your gems. But so I think going brutal is actually pretty good overall. So yeah. Let's see here, and I think that's actually another reason why you probably shouldn't run these gems is mainly because like this is like the only thing you need to actually stack fortify for is these, when you could just have max life, and then you could probably adjust some of your this around so you could have a little bit more damage. Let's see here. We have Neurotoxin, we have Toxic Claws, and then we have Envenom. Yep, these are fine. I think having 1 point to this, I think there's nothing wrong with that. But and then Ursine Strength, yep, pretty good. I think thinking here. So since you're running Storm's Companion, keep in mind that like if you take points out of like this, since you don't, if you're to switch these to like max life and not focus on Fortify necessarily as much, you could potentially take Defiance, and you could potentially take things like Natural Disaster. And the reason why these are good is because like this is a 12% damage buff, this is a 12% damage buff, and they're multiplicative, and it's like a 24% damage buff to your Claw and your Wolves. You know, it doesn't affect your Poison Creeper or your Ravens, which kind of sucks, but when you have Storm's Companion on, it does actually affect the Wolves, so it will give you more Wolf damage, and it will give you more Claw damage, and Claw is also one of your main DPS abilities, so that's something to think about too. Let's see, we got Quick Shift, not bad. I think Quick Shift is actually pretty good because we shapeshift so much, right? Like if you actually just weave like Claw, Poison Creeper, Claw, Wolves, Claw, right? And every single time you shapeshift, you know, you could actually get like another 15% damage multiplier here. Let's see, Fortifies, and then Heightened Senses. I've been trying this out. I don't think it's too bad. I don't think it's amazing, but I also don't think it's that bad either. Honestly, like I'm not. But even with your particular setup, I guess having a way to build Fortify is fine. But I don't know. I found that I just struggle to keep it up at all, really, whenever I'm in higher tier dungeons. So I don't really focus on Fortify a whole lot. So like if it was me, I'd probably take this out, put it into like here. Take this out, put it into like here, something like that. maybe even consider taking this out, putting it here, kind of thing. But other than that, I mean, the skills look fine. I'm not sure that vigilance is all that much useful, because when you look at it, you have a 16-second cooldown here, you have a 22-second cooldown here. So you can have this up if you were to juggle your CDs for about 12 seconds, because we don't really need to stack CDR in this build. We don't really have room to stack CDR in this build. Mainly because, you know, obviously you need like the triple companion skills on your helm and stuff like that. So that could be another way to like put damage over here. But at the same time, I mean, you do get to keep it up for like if you stagger these, right? You know, and actually wait the 6 seconds for it to go. You could keep this up for the 12 seconds out of your, let's see, 16, and then you could have, so would that be like a 4 second? Would it be a 4 second downtime? As you'd have it up for 6 seconds during Earthen Bulwark, and then you'd have it up for Debilitating Ore for 6 seconds. So yeah, so I guess you could actually keep the uptime on it pretty good. So I guess it's not too bad, you know, because it only has like a 4 second downtime. Debilitating Roar, I don't know. This ability isn't bad, but I don't know. It just, like, the downtime on it is what gets me. Is just it has such a long cooldown. So that's why I've been running some stuff like Cyclonic Armor, as well as like Preserving Cyclone Armor. But something I was thinking about maybe doing was changing eluding, like this, from eluding to like what was it called? I forget, the one that makes this a werewolf skill, because then it would potentially proc the % total armor while in werewolf form even more. So, and it would also give you another immobilize effect, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, so I don't know. Right now I'm doing the Cyclone Armor because it just gives you a 10% damage reduction buff like virtually all the time, whereas this has a pretty hefty cooldown. And the main reason why I run Earthen Bulwark anyway is mainly just because it gives me unstoppable. Like, that's kind of the main reason. Let's see here. Yeah. Let's see, Paragon. Okay. Paragon tree. Let's see what you got here. So you got Exploit. Don't disagree with that. This all looks fine. Let's see here. We got Wilds. 55 out of the Inner Beast. Not bad. 200. Yep. Max Armor Life. Not bad. It's a little bit different than mine, because I know I come over here and pick this up, but that's also fine. Just depends on what you're looking for. Interesting. Okay, so you do get this. Damage to poison enemies, damage to poison enemies, damage to poison enemies. Okay, so I'm curious to see what you pick up. So then you go Thunderstruck, vulnerable damage, crit vuln, but you're not getting the secondary bonus on that, which is okay. Let's see here. Strike damage. You're going Earth and Sky. Okay, let's see what we got here. 22% storm skill damage, 9% damage reduction from vulnerable enemies. Nature magic skills deal 10% increased damage to crowd controlled or vulnerable enemies. So I think this is particularly good because you're running the Storm's Companion. I've been looking at these ones that just give you more of like whatever you have around it. I don't like that you don't get the secondary from this, but it kind of can't be helped once you get to like a certain point. Because, you know, I think it goes based off of like what you link to first. So yeah, let's see. So not bad. I don't know if I 100% agree with this, because I think you're probably getting less damage. Actually, no, you're probably getting no, I take that back. You're probably getting an even amount of damage, because it goes something like every 20% multiplicative is about 100% additive. So, well, yeah, you're losing a little bit of damage, but like you're losing like maybe 25%, but at the same time you're getting more damage reduction from vulnerable enemies, so that's okay, I guess. Let's see here. Keeper, interesting. You and your companions deal 10% increased non-physical damage, but you don't have any. Ooh, This is, And you went into survival instincts. So 8% damage while okay, so you have more damage reduction while fortified and fortified generation here. So 2, 10, 18. I don't know. I don't know if I can, if I mind, like, I don't know if I mind, like, going this route, because I mean, like, you're definitely doing this because you're getting, you know, like, you're getting good defense out of this. So like, I don't see a huge problem with it, but I don't like the fact that you're not getting anything out of, like, because I don't like the fact that you can't use a rare node and you're only getting 10% damage. Like, I'm fairly certain if you went a different route, you would just be getting more damage, because this is also you and your companions deal 10% increased non-physical damage, so your ravens don't even benefit from this. I don't think your I want to say your claw does not get changed to be like lightning damage or anything, even with Great Staff of the Crone, so your claw is not even benefiting from that. So I'm not sure I agree with this rune choice. I think taking something like, let's see, what else do you have? You have Territorial. Oh, actually, you know what what you could potentially take? What you could potentially take is Undaunted. Just take the one that gives you damage on Fortify, right? Because then you would also get 10% damage reduction while fortified. So like, if you're going to go this fortified route, I don't see why you wouldn't run that. Let's see here. So Earth and Sky, Wilds, Territorial. Territorial's pretty good. I run that. Let's see here. I run Wilds. So let's see what else you do here, though. So you got nature magic damage, okay. And it looks like this also, this like whole rune tree looks like it's pretty heavily dependent on you wearing Storm's Companion, if you were to ask me, because a lot of the glyphs have synergy with that, and it makes it to where your wolves don't do as much damage if you do not have that on. Let's see here. 8% max life, that's fine. Okay. Come over here, damage to elites, come up here. Damage to crowd-controlled enemies and max life. Here, let me pull up mine here. Be a lot easier if I pull up mine here. I think this is it. Okay. Yes. Alright, so like if you look at what I'm running exploits, then I have on wilds, then I have on tracker, so you deal 10% increased damage to poison targets. Then I have on spirit, and then I have on guzzler, right? So the thing about spirit is that this affects all of your abilities, right? Not only that, it increases the damage an enemy takes from you by like up to 12%, so it's also a damage multiplier. So not having spirit, like, I'm not really that big of a fan of, because this does apply to, like, you know, all your skills. It's going to apply to your companion skills, so you're just missing a very big critical strike damage buff. You come down here, Guzzler. This one is totally situational. I can understand why. I could understand why you don't necessarily want to take Guzzler. Let's see here. Then we go here, we have tracker, increased damage to poison targets, so you should have everything poison quite a bit, so this is just another pretty solid damage boost. Now the poisoning damage effects lasting 33% longer isn't really all that great, if I'm being completely honest, because you know, we run like the barber and stuff like that, but at the same time, it's just going to be like probably the highest damage buff, or one of the highest damage buffs you can get. But that being said, like, I think taking what was it, like this one for example, instead of like Tracker or Guzzler's like fine. I think I think it just has a little bit more damage, whereas this is going to give you a little bit more defense. But that nature magic skill thing is only going to affect your claw and your wolves, you know, since you have Storm's Companion on. But yeah, whereas like this stuff that I have on is going to impact everything. So I have a more, I don't know, it seems like a lot of your damage is like front loaded into your wolves, right? Whereas if you were to do something like this, you would have more damage in your ravens and you would have more damage in your poison creeper, so you would have just more overall damage through your companion skills. But if you're wanting to focus more on the wolves, I think what you're doing is probably fine. But you might have to change some things around. Let's see here. But I mean, we have a pretty similar, like ours is somewhat similar, except for I opted to go here, right? Whereas I would say that you pretty much opted to not go here, and then you opted to go into the, let's see here, you opted to go into this one, right, and then pick up like Bulwark, and then you also opted to like finish this off, which is probably the main difference. But 50% damage to healthy enemies, which I like the armor part of this. I don't really know if I care for the healthy damage to healthy enemies. I don't think that's like anything too crazy. This is also fine since you are focusing on damage reduction while fortified, which makes a lot more sense now that you have these gems, because you also have all this damage reduction while fortified in here. But yeah, let's see, crowd control damage. Yeah, we both have that. Max life here, right? And I also went like this way to get to this tree, whereas you went like up and around, which is also fine because you went like a completely different tree than I do. I don't even have that tree on my page. But I mean, I don't know, it's, other than that, I mean, our pages are pretty similar, except for I think I might have how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, so we both still have the same amount of slots. We just opted to go for slightly different things. And I think other than that, I'm not sure I like your glyph selection 100%, but other than that, I think your page is probably fine. I also went a lot for like max life stuff. So like, you know, I get max life here and all that kind of stuff. So I do stack a lot of max life, but yeah, I don't know. But yeah, other than that, I mean, that's really my thoughts on your Crone Staff build. I would say is just keep in mind, you know, you might eventually have to take off Storm's Companion, so your whole Paragon board, once you take off Storm's Companion, I think is going to get a lot weaker, so keep that in mind. However, you do actually have a little bit more damage reduction inside of your tree, so, and I also haven't tested exactly how the percent total armor affects high level pushing yet, because I just don't have it. So if it does turn out to where it just makes you just omega tanky to where you don't necessarily need these, then I mean your page is probably fine. As once I do find that armor, if I was running full armor and that is the case, I'd probably change my page around a little bit. But yeah. But yeah, you definitely seem to be a little bit front loaded into your wolves. So keep that in mind, that you have a lot of damage into your wolves and a lot of things that aren't affecting your ravens and poison creeper. And you'd probably have more damage overall if you were switching things up, so you could actually get more damage into your ravens and poison creeper. So things like Spirit or like Tracker or something like that, or even Undaunted, where it just says you deal, you know, more damage based on your amount of fortify. Okay, so let's look over your Earth Spike build. This one's pretty interesting. So yep. So I don't understand this legendary aspect. You deal 20% increased critical strike chance against injured enemies. While you are healthy, you gain 40% increased crowd control duration. I don't know what crowd control you're doing. I don't know if you're like trying to increase the duration of this stun. And I also don't know if you're running. I also don't know what stuff you're running in terms of hearts. So I don't know why you would necessarily need the increased duration of crowd control, but at the same time, I guess it's okay. Let me see. What's going on here? So you have Storm's Companion on, that's cool. Okay. Distant enemies have an 8% chance to be stunned for 2 seconds. When they hit you, you deal 20% increased damage to stunned enemies. I mean, this isn't too bad because you have the synergy between Earth Spike and you probably stay more at a range with this. You do have decent attack speed. Let's see. I would be interested to know how often you are actually like proccing Pack Leader, because you have like half the proc chance, and you also aren't proccing 2 abilities at once with every hit, so I'd imagine that your reset speed on this is probably quite a bit lower. However, that being said, you do get 2 extra damage reduction stats here, which is pretty good. You also get a little bit more lucky hit chance, which is probably okay, which probably helps with it a little bit. But so it probably takes us 35%, because I don't know if this is actually factoring in your stats or not, but I'd imagine it would take this 35% up to like 45%, so it's not too bad. Because if I'm not mistaken, this is the second highest lucky hit chance in the basic skill tree. So like it's not too bad. Let me actually see something here. 35, 30, 50, 25. Yeah, so like it's not too bad, but not using claw is like a pretty big negative for the resets, but at the same time, you know, let's see here. You have 8% increased dodge chance versus enemies affected by damage over time effects. When you dodge, you gain 10 of your primary resource. So yeah, I'm not sure I agree with this either. Like, you don't have anything spending your primary resource, so you just have a wasted effect. And I think you could probably just find something that's just better to run here. Like, I mean, I almost would make an argument that maybe you should run a core skill with this build, like a landslide or something, if you're gonna go that route. I like this necklace more than I like the necklace. Like, this is the necklace. Like, this necklace right here, I think you should be running on both of these. On both of these builds. Bone, crit, lucky hit. Yeah, these are both fine. I mean, the main issue I would have with this build is the pack leader resets aren't going to be as much. This is okay because you can cast ravens and you can also cast your wolves from a distance. So I would imagine that this actually does increase the damage of it, but I don't know. I'd almost say you should get rid of this for like Edge Masters, and then since you are running Storm's Companion still, you could even still run Overcharged Aspect, maybe, since your wolves are going to proc it, since you're still doing Storm's Companion. It's like you do still have lightning damage. I don't really care for this whole overpower thing. Let's see here. I think Overload might be better because you're not really using shape-shifting skills. So I think Overload might be better here. If you're in like Overload plus the Overcharged Aspect, I feel like that would probably be better than the Obsidian Slam, because it says every 20th kill will cause your next Earth skill to overpower. That's just really bad, in my opinion. I just think that's, I don't know, I just don't think that's that great. That's just so many kills just to get one overpower proc. I'm just not really a fan of that. Rest of that's fine. Let's see here. So you're running Cyclonic Armor, but you're not running... Okay, but you're not running the aspect that gives you 10% physical, so I'm kind of curious. I don't understand why. But then again, you also have, like, you get a lot of extra damage reduction because of this. Honestly, the thing is that I do like about this is you get these 2 extra damage reduction stats, which really helps, like, alleviate the pain from Storm's Companion. So, because I was actually thinking about switching up some stuff and attempting to use a totem in a one-hand just to see for like high-level pushing if I could actually still manage to use Storm's Companion, but I was worried about what my chance to, but I would still end up losing some damage reduction. I guess that's the other thing too, is you do actually lose some damage reduction. So you gain 15, 20, 17, so it's 32, but you lose the 25% you gain from casting Storm Strike. Or is it 15% now? I forget. I think they nerfed it to 15%, didn't they? Yeah, so they nerfed it to 15%. Okay. So they nerfed it to 15%. So I guess you're gaining like 17% damage reduction by running this. Okay. So that's still not too bad. You are still net gaining for running that. Let's look at the skill tree. Yeah, that's fine. It's also fine. This is fine as well. 5 points into this. That's kind of interesting. Let's see. I don't know why you'd want to go 5 points into this, because it's going to break so fast, I feel like. And it only lasts for 3 seconds. I think it'd be better if you were actually running the thing that makes this go into 9 seconds. As you could take points out of this, and you could put points into this, deal 3% increased damage to distant enemies, double this amount bonus if they're slowed, stunned, immobilized, or knocked back. So this turns into like an 18% damage bonus, because you can cast this from range. Poison Creeper even has a little bit of range, and you do actually get a stun effect. So you could take points out of that and put it into here. And that'd probably be good. Let's see. I mean, other than that, I don't really see anything in there that I super disagree with. I mean, you'd have 1 point left, so you could take that point and put it in. Is there any good, like, one-hit wonders left? You could put 1 point into, like... no, you don't have any werewolf skills. I take that back. That's not that great. Man. Yeah, it's like, where do you even put that point? Would be the question. You have fortified gems in here. So the other thing too is like, where are you getting fortified? So you're getting fortified from this. Does this fortify you? Okay, so you're getting fortified from that as well. Okay, that's not too bad. You might take like 3 points out of this, put it in here, and then take your last point and just put it right here, so you just get 5% more fortify from all sources. That probably wouldn't be that bad. Let's go to your Paragon now. Other than that, your skill tree's probably fine. Exploit, yep. We got Wilds, yep. Same thing. So it looks like you're going kind of that. So it looks like you went kind of that same route on this. What kind of damage is this? Physical? Yeah, so it looks like, yeah, when it comes to the, yeah, so it looks like you're still running the exact same page for this. I mean, I would just say when it comes to the page, it would be the exact same thing about the other page, is you just have a lot of damage that's going to be front loaded into wolves, whereas if you change the glyphs around a little bit, you would have more damage spread into your ravens and your poison creeper. So overall, you'd probably have more damage. And if the other thing is too, is that stuff would actually probably give you more damage to your wolves than what you're getting from this, because you're not even getting any like secondary bonus from this. So running just like something that you could get like 100% additive damage bonus would do more damage than this, and it would affect all your skills instead of just one. This one I don't mind that much, but at the same time, you know, your poison creeper, your ravens aren't really benefiting from it, but you do get extra damage reduction, which is cool. Your wolves do benefit, but your wolves are going to stop benefiting if you ever take off Storm's Companion, which could also potentially be a problem. I mean, I'd rather see you switch out. You might honestly just, this whole like survival instincts, you might just switch this out, like take this one off and put on something like either Undaunted, or you could go take this off, come up here, because this is a high dexterity glyph, and you could just run Spirit, and you would pick up additive damage to poisoned enemies. And then you could avoid taking the poison damage and only take the damage to poisoned enemies, so it affects everything instead of just your poison creeper. And then when you get up here, you can get damage reduction from enemies that are poisoned, which is not too bad. You can also get damage to poisoned. You can get more damage to poisoned enemies. And because this is an early page that you're locking onto, I want to say, Oh, never mind. It looks like the cost is pretty high. Take that back. But yeah, but you could come up here, get all the dexterity stuff, and take spirit, and then you'd have like 100% crit damage buff to all your companion skills. So that's probably like the main change to the Paragon that I would make, is just get rid of this, and then what you could do is you could connect it through like right here, and then you could also pick up this attack speed, which attack speed is pretty good. And then you could connect it right here and still do whatever it is you're doing here, but then take like the other points here and just get up to this glyph slot and try to do that and just adjust it a little bit like that. But yeah, I mean, it looks cool. It's definitely interesting. The whole earth spike thing. But yeah, so I guess that'd really be my thoughts on this build. Is you're probably not going to get a whole lot of resets. I don't really particularly care for either of these legendary aspects. I think Overcharge would still be better. I think taking Overload instead of Obsidian Slam would probably be a little bit better. Edge Masters and Overload would probably be pretty good here. Let's see. That's crit vuln, damage to poisoned enemies. Yeah, that's not bad. Skill tree wise. Yeah, taking 3 points out of here, putting it into here, and then putting 1 point into here, I think would be better. And then Paragon, yeah, just kind of getting rid of this, and then working your way up here, and like putting the Spirit Rune in, since you can get like 50 dex or something like that from this socket, and just kind of adjusting it that way so you can have more overall damage in everything instead of being so front-loaded into your wolves. But yeah. After that, I mean, yeah, I like the stat selection you're doing on all this stuff, that's for sure. So, but yeah, anyways, yeah, thanks for watching. Hopefully, anybody else watching this enjoyed it too. If you guys like to see more, like, subscribe, and I will see you next time. Thanks.